While African history and culture is often overlooked or defamed in American society, exceptions can be found in the low country of Georgia and South Carolina, where two groups of African descendants hang on to their unique heritages in two different ways.
I'm a native of Hilton Head Island. I'm a member of the fifth generation of my family. And what I'm doing is to help keep the Gullah Geechee culture alive on Hilton Head Island. Okay, but in order to do that, you have to know your culture.
We've been on Defusky Island in the past where there's a lot of history of the Gullah folks and met some people who are descendants, and it's just a fascinating culture.
Many of the customs preserved and celebrated by the Gullah Geechee culture were adapted during times of slavery, when the West African tribe was brought to work on the coastal plantations of Georgia, Florida, and the Carolinas.
And your spirit ready to stir up the whole spirit.
Despite the impact from such a trying history, evidence of the culture's assimilation rings through the community of Hilton Head. Still, concern grows for the preservation of the Gullah Geechee name as the tribe's descendants try to press into its young people the importance of knowing and preserving one's culture. Oyotunji is different from Gullah Geechee culture in that this tribe operates off the map completely as an entity separated from the United States. The grounds sit on U.S. soil, but residents of Oyotunji Village have created a barrier to keep debilitating forces out and the richness of their own culture in.
Oyotunji was founded by a man named Eugene King. He was born in 1928 in Detroit, Michigan. His parents were followers of Marcus Garvey, so they were very familiar with the plight of Africans living in America. At 14, he goes to Haiti. He sees the Yoruba, or the African culture, in its fullness. What most intrigued him was to see the way the community was set up.
I came up in a black community, went to college, did all the Pan-African. And then one day, I came to Oyotunji Village, and I felt connected to it, but I think that many African Americans don't want to be black, don't want to be African.
This troubling notion is combated by the strict customs of the Oyotunji tribe. The environment created by their practices of the Yoruba religion promotes self-love, cultural pride, and alas, spiritual connection. But as illustrated by the people of Oyotunji Village in Sheldon, South Carolina, other means of cultural preservation exist. Our team was privileged to be able to experience these things amidst that culture by attending a celebration commemorating a deceased elder, the former and first king of Oyotunji Village.
Well, today we're having the celebration for Oba Efuntola, the first king of Oyotunji Village. We celebrate him every year at this time because of the life and the deeds that he did. This shrine we stand in front of is called Olokun. Olokun is the spirit of the deep waters.
The celebration featured African royalty and musical traditions.
We play drums while we sing and dance because the ancestors love drums. The drums are the communication to the spirits here in Oyotunji and the world.
The drums are the heartbeat of the whole thing. Basically, when we drum, we have a conversation, and that conversation we're having is a sacred conversation.
Powerful words come from the current king of Oyotunji Village, who shares his own experiences about the importance of cultural identity. He speaks on the principles taught to him by his own father and urges those under his ear to champion themselves and the African culture from which they stemmed.
It's a culture, and you can appreciate every culture
It is good to know that after over 400 years of slavery, we have a group of African Americans here who still remember their culture. Right now in Africa, so many Africans are fighting each other over religion, over Jesus Christ or Muhammad. And I wish our African people would learn from our African brothers here in North America so that we can truly know ourselves, we can find peace. Until we learn that, Africa will always run into roadblock, hardship, corruption, and nepotism. So it's about time right now in 2017, we need to take a lesson from our brothers in North America.
The discussion of African culture in America is often a heated one, as African heritage has been scattered and appropriated by the brutal impact of American history. A great deal of African descendants living in America do not know the dynamic nature of their history, are not familiar with the idea of descending from kings and queens. Ambiguity and falsehoods about being Black create tension amidst the various African cultures. What is the way to preserve? Is it settling for a single month out of the year? Is it closing oneself off completely to protect the sanctity of a culture? Assimilation or a cult? These are the questions that plague both sides of a culture.